Hey, Jay.
Hi.
I just want to ask you about, I guess, the evolution of Evander Kane, and we talked about this before, how he's in mid-season form now, and I guess, and he's not maybe as beat up as some other guys might be, but can you just talk about how important his experience, he's been here before, is going to help the rest of the group?
Yeah, I think he's one of the players when we went through our roster and just looked at who had the experience of playing this deep in the playoffs. Evander's one of them, and he's had a really good career. He's had one opportunity. He understands that this is a special team that we have and a special opportunity, and I think him lending his experience to the rest of the group is invaluable. And just in terms of him and his evolution of his season, I just see someone who keeps getting better and, is not just defined by his scoring statistics. He does a lot of really good things on the ice for us and is an important member of our team.
When it comes to starting a series at home or on the road, you guys are starting on the road here. Do you feel like it's a matter of just trying to break serve there, come away with a split, or is that kind of just an old mentality thinking you're trying to win both games, obviously?
Yeah, I think we've been consistent in our messaging here, right? When Dave Manson and I came up and joined Glenn, Brian, Dustin, and Jeremy, I think one of the things that we've tried to say is just we got to take care of today's business. So I'm not looking past our day today. We had a really good practice. We're going to travel, and we'll have another good practice tomorrow, and then we're just taking it one day at a time and trying to incrementally improve our game as we work our way through the series.
Thinner air in Denver, tough breathing for the coaches too, or is it more the?
I think guys are used to that now. We were just up in Calgary, and I think it's just part and parcel when you go into to play the Avalanche. That's one of the things you're dealing with.
Do you still look at Mike Smith and realize that his greatest strength is the way he battles? Like, he's not the quietest goalie. Like, he's not Carey Price or who make it look pretty easy sliding back and forth across.
Yeah. I think what he does make look easy is puck handling for sure. I think he's one of the best ever at that. But yeah, his battle level's off the charts, and he's a big man and a great athlete that's taking care of himself, and that's why he's had the career that he's had, and that's why he's in the position he's in.
So in the first series against LA, it was you and Todd we talked about, and you just said, okay, the series is starting now. Stop talking about that. Is it a little different when you've got Dave Manson and his son is on the other team? Dave's going to see his grandkids maybe, but yeah, is it a little different?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, those are nice narratives and storylines and everything like that, but I think everybody in our office and in our dressing room is 100% committed to seeing this through. And in order to do that, just like I talked about taking care of the day's business, but you have to stay on task. Every single day, you have to stay on task. You have to keep working at your game so that you're in position to have some success. You're asking about Dave and his matchup against Josh. I think that's a special thing for their family. It's a nice storyline, but that's what's going to happen here starting Tuesday night is a battle between two proud organizations that are trying to get to the next round, and that's what it's about.
I know you always look at your own team more than the other team, but this team you're playing has a little more high octane than Calgary does. So as a coach, are you looking for that? Are we expecting 5-4 again? Or because the games weren't 5-4?
No, they were really well-played hockey games that could have gone either way for both teams in each of those games. And, I thought the pace in those games was excellent. The speed and skill of the players involved speaks for themselves. And, I've learned in this playoffs not to try and predict anything. You just try and be the best you can on a nightly basis, and you react to what you see.
And Leon playing on the wing with Connor. Are you going to play that by, feel? Because they have Kadri, who is Michael Backlund, only he's got a little more bite to his game, perhaps? Or you just play that by ear as opposed to whether you might put Leon back at center?
Yeah, I think one of the best things about coaching the Edmonton Oilers is we have a lot of really good players and a lot of really versatile players, guys who can play in the middle or on the wing. That's an option for us. We're pretty flexible when it comes to lineup, and we're just going to try and ice the 20 players on Tuesday night that we feel on that night will give us the best chance to win.
Jay, you talked a little bit about opportunity at the first with Evander Kane in 2019, and I think you had 4 of them by age 35, and maybe at that point in your career you were thinking this is going to be an annual event, and then it's been 11 years. Mm-hmm. Will you address that at all before the series, or is it self-explanatory even for the guys who haven't had that opportunity and this being their first?
Well, thanks for pointing that out, Jack. Yeah, for me, it was 4 out of 5 years with 2 different organizations. And, it's hard to get to this point. Very, very hard to get to this point. Nobody's taking it for granted. I think you mentioned Evander today. We talked yesterday about how Mike Smith's 40 years old. Long, illustrious career. And he'd only played in 2 Final Fours. So it's a special time for us as coaches and us as players. We are trying to block out all the outside noise and just focus on our process and make sure that we're taking care of the necessary details that will lead to success. So that's where our thought process is.
The other thing that Evander alluded to was the importance of health at this time of year. Mm-hmm. To that end, every victory is important in the playoffs, but was there some degree of importance in finishing the Calgary series in 5 games as opposed to 7?
Well, I think playoff games are extremely taxing, and when you're in a position to close a team out, you want to make sure that you have that type of killer instinct to finish a series off. And we've played in a couple of elimination games here over the last 2 series, and we've done a good job. In the end, you're just trying to find a way to win the series. But in the end, we found a way in 2 different types of series to get the job done. I feel that we're in good health. We're rested. We had a good practice today, and we'll be ready come Tuesday night.
Okay. Jay, throughout the Calgary series and even at the end, the narrative from their side over and over was that they were getting beaten by 1 player and that they did get beat by 1 player.
Which player?
Yeah, so that's my question. What do you make of that narrative?
Well, I think you don't get this far with 1 player. I mean, we have a lot of really good players. We have 2 of the best players in the world. I think we have the best hockey player in the world, and what he's doing right now is special. But in the last 2 games of that series, I would say there were 10 goals for the Edmonton Oilers. Connor had, I believe, 3 points on 3 of those goals. We get great contributions from everybody up and down our lineup. I think we're a team in the true sense of the word. And I believe that teams are why you win. We're certainly driven by our leaders. As I said, 2 of the best hockey players in the world. But I can tell you those guys are great teammates, and they believe in their teammates, and we would not be where we're at right now unless we had great contributions from everybody on our roster.
And given all the offensive contributions that you're kind of alluding to, and you're going to be going up against a high-powered Colorado team, I know you said you're not going to predict how the game's going to be played, but do you feel comfortable that you could match them toe-to-toe offensively, given the depth of your forward lines and your lineup?
Well, I think the Colorado Avalanche present unique issues, unique to their players, unique to their skill sets. I believe that As I said, I believe teams win, so we're going to need contributions from everybody in order to get to where we want to get to. As I said, Colorado represents a unique challenge, but we feel we're up for it.
Hi, Jay. What I'm going to ask is a little tiny bit off topic, but it's something that I find interesting. I'm wondering why it is you prefer to stand when you're addressing us rather than to be seated.
Just personal choice. Yeah, it's just something that I feel most comfortable standing up and addressing a group of people in a room.
Duncan Keith seems to have a good pedigree for getting this deep. What are you seeing for Duncan? I mean, apart from a couple of years in Chicago where they fell off the end, he's pretty used to this, is he not?
I think how special that is, and think of what an anomaly that is. You know, obviously he was part of a dynasty and a driver in that dynasty. So, you know, he's had that unique experience. But, you know, I think for him, what I know about Duncan Keith is he doesn't take anything for granted. Nothing. He puts every ounce of his being into making sure that he's prepared for every single game. You know, I think I looked it up. He's around 149 maybe, or 150 playoff games, somewhere around there. That's amazing. In a Hall of Fame career, that's amazing. You don't have his resume without being, number one, a really good player, and number two, you know, being part of a great team over a number of years. So we're going to try and benefit from his experience.
One question on your fourth line. You didn't play two players very much last game. Was that something they did? Obviously, they were on the ice for that second goal. Was that why they didn't play again?
No, I think I answered it the other day, too. For me, sometimes just the way the game plays out. Calgary played 11-7 that game. And really, they really played only nine, maybe 10 forwards there. A couple guys got some special teams ice time for them. But sometimes that's just the way it plays out. And, you know, the two players that you're mentioning that didn't see a lot of ice time in that game, it's not like they did anything wrong. It's just that that's the way that game played out. And in the end, their contribution is, you know, playing 4 minutes or whatever it is just as important as someone who plays 24 minutes. And they're a big reason why we were able to beat the Calgary Flames 4 straight games and win that playoff series. And they're real valued members of our team.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, guys.